Live from the firehouse, it's Good Night with Christopher Blue. With special guest, Professor Prometheum. I'm your co-host Reverb, and here's your host, Christopher Blue.
Hello, and welcome to Good Night with Christopher Blue. I think my mic is off. Hello, I'm Christopher Blue, and we have a wonderful show for you tonight. Tonight, we have our favorite scientist, Professor Prometheum. But first, I would like to thank you so much for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. And don't forget to click that little bell thing so you can get notified whenever we upload new content. When we come back, Professor Prometheum.
Do you like this shirt? Or this shirt? Or what about these socks? You can get all this stuff and more in the description down below. Be sure to use the code BLUE10 to get 10% off your total purchase. But act fast, because like the Reverb or Weaver shirt, we don't know when these designs are going to go away. So once again, go to the link in the description of this video to go to the merch store and use the code BLUE10 to get yourself 10% off your purchase. Welcome back. This man does not need any introduction.
But we're gonna give him one.
That's right, but we're going to give him one anyway. Please put your hands together for one of my best friends, Professor Prometheum. Walking around the table.
Don't mind me.
Yeah. Hello, Professor.
It's been a while.
It has been a while.
Yes.
You were on the show twice in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Once you were actually physically here.
I know. The other time I was remote in several different occasions.
So, I'm excited to have you back. Before we get started with your science wizardry, I want to ask some science questions.
Sure.
So the first one we have comes from Ian Howard. He asks, how do dreams work?
That is a very good question. It's still a topic that scientists are still researching. We do know some about how dreams work. When you are dreaming, a big thing that your mind is doing at the time is processing memories, sorting them from short-term into long-term. However, when you remember something, it's not like you see in the movies where you rewind a tape and you play it all through. Your mind wants to only remember what it deems is important and throws away the rest.
Okay.
So, for example, if you drive the same path to work each day and you think back on it, you really don't remember your drive, right? You remember you got in the car maybe, and then you got to work, and then it makes sense you drove there, so that's probably what happened, right? So, when you're dreaming, your brain is sorting through what happened during the day, it's short-term memories, and trying to figure out what it deems important to store into long-term memories. Mm-hmm. So if you were to make a dream journal or to pick apart your dream, you might find pieces of your dream that came from the day. Like maybe you saw a really nice car during that day, and maybe that car popped up in your dream. Like that's the car you're driving in your dream. You'll find like little aspects like that. They might not be in the same order that they were before. You might have different memories mixed in there too, like your childhood house or something like that might also be mixed in there. But a big part of your dreaming actually comes from your brain making sense of memories and deciding what it wants to keep and what it doesn't want to keep.
Very nice. My second science question actually comes from Reverb. Reverb, go ahead. He didn't know he was going to be asking a science question.
The question I wanted to ask is how you can say something and then apparently completely forget that you had a question.
So, okay. That is a very interesting thing. So it's also kind of related to the whole, like, a watch pot never boils thing. Like, have you ever tried to, like, watch a pot that boils and just seems like it takes forever and ever? That's because your brain is always trying to anticipate what comes next, because your brain feels like it knows the order that things could happen. So for the pot boiling thing, your brain knows the next step after that water boils, whether it's put noodles in or tea or whatever is going to happen. Your brain is ready for that next step. Because it's ready for the next step, it seems like it takes forever. Same thing why you forget something. Your brain knows what it wants to do after you ask the question. Your brain's already thinking about the next step, and so therefore it forgets the step that should come before. And so you might have it already in your head. You're like, oh, I know what I'm going to do. But once your brain kind of jumps to that next step, the one before it isn't important to your brain anymore.
If you guys have a science question, please post it to us on any of our social medias, and the next time we have Professor Prometheum on, we will ask a scientist. Speaking of water boiling,
Actually, I wanted to ask real quick, did I actually have a question from earlier that I said?
no, you did not.
Okay.
So back to my segue. Speaking of water boiling, it seems like we are ready for our first
Yes.
science
Yes.
experiment.
So today I kind of put together some experiments that have to do with a theme, and that theme for today is going to be air.
Okay.
All of our experiments are going to have to do with air. Now, just looking at these cans in front of you, there's air. These are empty cans, by the way. It's not like boiling soda in there or anything like that. There's air. Now, the air inside of these cans, would you say it is hot or cold?
I would definitely say it's hot.
It definitely is hot. There's steam coming out
Yeah.
of them, right? So air behaves a lot like people. When it's hot outside, people tend to have more energy. They don't want to stay crowded around, right? They want to spread out. The same thing happens to the air inside these cans. It's hot. It is wanting to spread out, and you can see some of the air spreading out the top of these cans. So that spreading out of air makes high air pressure. Now, in order for air pressure to be high, you have to compare it to something else. You have to compare it to the air all around us.
Mm-hmm.
So the air all around us, would you say it's heavy or light?
I mean, I don't feel like it's heavy. It feels like
Some
it's
days
pretty
it
light.
might feel heavier than others. Right?
Yeah.
So the air around us is actually really heavy. We have a lot of atmosphere. We have a lot of air. So the air actually weighs 14.7 pounds for every inch of your body.
Wow.
So for an adult, that equals about a ton's worth of weight. Now we can see that in this experiment, like how heavy the air actually is. So I'm going to take the air in these cans, turn it from really hot air to really cold air.
Okay.
Now cold air works the opposite. It doesn't want to spread out. It wants to come together. Much like when people are cold, they want to like huddle up, right? So that is going to make the air pressure drop right away. And that's going to allow the pressure from the air all around it to kind of take over from there. We're going to see what happens.
Okay. What?
Is he okay?
Now, in science, we always want to do experiments that are repeatable, right? To make sure that wasn't a fluke, right?
Right.
Maybe something weird happened, all right? So let's see if that can happen one more time.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary there, what happens, right?
It implodes.
Yes, it made the sound of an explosion, but if we look at it, we can see it's quite the opposite. It imploded. Now, did it look like I squeezed it really hard?
Not at all.
It was like almost like instantaneous.
Yes.
And that is due to the weight or the pressure of the air around the can. Once that pressure inside dropped, the air pressure on the outside became much higher, and that is the power of the pressure of the air around us.
Wow.
Yes.
All right. So that's the first experiment
Yes.
down.
Now for the rest of the experiments, we are going to need some space. So I'm going to do a little bit of movie magic or editing magic here and make this table
Okay.
not so much science, a little bit of movie magic.
Well, okay. Let's tell the audience that.
So the last experiment we saw, the air was kind of doing its own thing, right?
Right.
It wasn't being manipulated really by us, except for us making it hotter or colder. We weren't changing the pressure of the air all around, so it was kind of already doing its thing, right? For our next couple of experiments, we're going to actually manipulate this air. I actually feel like I want to race you.
Okay.
In this next experiment here.
Okay.
Yes. All right. But for this one, we're going to need to stand up.
All right. Am I going to need a mic?
If you would like to continue talking to me, yes.
Okay. I locked my drawer somehow. There we go. This drawer is magic. I'll just project. I'm sure we have plenty of mics here. We can.
For this experiment, we have two. I'm going to call them balloons.
Okay.
All right. So you're a Christopher Blue, so I think you should have the blue.
I appreciate that.
So
Thank you.
I'm calling them balloons. So one end we have tied off, right? And
All right.
the other end, if you look at your balloon here, does have an opening.
Okay.
That's why we're going to call it a balloon. All right.
All right.
So we're stretching the definition of balloon.
Gotcha.
So here's what we're going to do.
Uh-huh.
Our goal for this, you are going to try to inflate your balloon faster than me. Now,
Okay.
to make this more exciting, I would like you to face that direction.
Okay.
I will face this direction, so we can't even see how well the other person is doing.
Okay.
All right.
See, I have an idea, but I think we're doing this. I genuinely think I have an idea here.
All right. So I'm going to count to 3,
Yep.
and we're going to start.
Okay.
All right. Ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3.
I hear nothing coming out of here. How?
So clearly our approach is working.
Yeah.
All right. So let's break this down. Let's break this down.
Science isn't
Not bad though.
So science isn't math, right? We want to explain what's happening.
Yeah.
We want to enlighten something. All right. So let's empty the air out of this thing.
Okay.
Start from the beginning. All right. Tell me, what was your method? How are you trying to inflate your balloon?
Well, so I thought you were trying to use like word trickery when you said inflate. I thought you would assume, blow it up like a balloon because you said balloon. So, but I also felt like a trash bag. So I was like, let's do the trash bag method.
And I think we ran into a problem that the opening is not very big.
Correct.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Did you ever try to do the normal balloon?
I did eventually.
You put a couple of you were a little suspicious.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned you didn't hear anything.
Right.
So I used a little bit of science with this. So even our deflated balloons here, what's already inside of our balloons?
Some air.
There's some air. What's all around us right now?
Air.
Air. So scientists, we figured out something. Air loves to do what the air around it is doing. So when you blow up a normal balloon, if you held it really close to your face, the only air you have to work with is the air inside your lungs and the air that's in you, right?
Right.
And that's not very great when you're talking about balloons that are this large. So what I did is I held it about arm's length away. I just took a big breath. I blew right in there. I trapped the air right in there. Now, that little bit of air that I blew out of my mouth convinced the air in front of me and around that it wanted to also move in that same direction. So all it did, 2 or 3 breaths. Trap the air inside. And
That's crazy!
Good science.
I don't think I'm that good at it.
But that was just one breath of air.
That is wild!
Yes, yes. So well done, sir. Well done. Well
Yeah.
done.
All right, and so we like to do 3 experiments.
Oh yeah, yeah. So we no longer need this, so
Okay.
we can make these 2 disappear. Off to the side. All right. So,
Do we still need to be
we
standing?
can sit down a little bit. We
We have some time to work with here.
Okay.
All right, so blowing up balloons, crushing cans, those are all really cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not the most useful thing in the world.
Yeah.
We, as humans, have come a long way, especially with our understanding of air, and that we discovered that we can make things fly, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the biggest thing you think of that flies?
Oh, I mean they're
It's not a trick
extinct now, but like a pterodactyl.
Again, it's not a trick question.
Right, okay.
These things are around right
Well,
now.
airplanes.
Airplanes,
Yes.
there, right? Airplanes. We can make airplanes.
Yes, yes.
And that's all thanks to a scientist named Bernoulli.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to quiz you on this. You don't have to
Thank you.
remember his name. However, this guy named Bernoulli figured out something. He figured out when air moves fast, it makes low air pressure. When air moves slowly, it makes high air pressure.
Okay.
And I want you and our audience out there to imagine an airplane. Got that in your head?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. What part of the airplane do you imagine makes it fly?
The propellers.
So, not all airplanes have propellers, correct? So,
Okay.
the propellers, the engine, are really good at making the airplane move forward fast,
Yeah.
right? The part that makes it go up are the wings.
Oh, right.
Now, if you imagine an airplane's wing, if you ever flown an airplane, you will notice the top of the wing is curved and the bottom is flat. So what happens with that, as the airplane wing is moving through the air moving over the top has to move faster to get to the other side, and the air moving underneath has to move slower to get to the other side. Now, what did Bernoulli say happens with fast air? Does that make high or low air pressure?
Chevy, put the right answer in my mouth.
Low air pressure.
The fast-moving air does make low air pressure.
Just as I said.
Low air pressure. And slow-moving air makes higher pressure. So if there's low air pressure on top, high air pressure on the bottom, things go up. If you have a piece of paper or anything like this, tissue paper probably works best because it's pretty light, and you just blow over the top, you can demonstrate the same phenomenon. It makes a page lift, right?
Yeah.
But that's boring. That's boring. I mean, I have a whole roll here of toilet paper.
Yeah.
And so, with this, with a whole roll of toilet paper, I'm going to need to generate some more wind. So, Weaver, I think over there, you might find something on the other side of that couch that I can use. Yes. I remembered I forgot that right over there. Now, Christopher, if you would
Yeah?
be so kind as to stand right over there, I'm going to demonstrate to our wonderful audience what happens when you have a lot of something like this toilet paper and a lot of air. See if we can demonstrate that lift in a cooler way.
Okay.
All right, so
You're standing over there.
Hi, Mom.
Stand over here. And now, Reaver, if you would be so kind as to flip that switch for me. Up. It goes up, up. And there we can demonstrate in a very big way.
What a
Thank you
flex.
so much for being a great assistant. I mean, couldn't ask for a better science assistant.
Well, how did you know I used this much toilet paper in one sitting?
You know, I just
One sitting.
Wow. Wow.
quite powerful.
Professor, thank you for
very
coming on
welcome.
the show.
Yes, and
Reaver, were you about to say something?
Just that I'll use the toilet paper later.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, we don't waste on this show.
now I would like to remind them if they do have any science questions, maybe that they thought of during this segment here, or that they were inspired by this segment, they should definitely write those in. I'd
Yes.
be more than happy to answer those.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if we get a surplus of questions, more to answer, more than what we can answer on the show, maybe we'll have you come on and actually physically
I would be
answer.
more than happy to do that.
Well, that's our show. Thank you guys so much for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. Don't forget to ring that bell so you get notified whenever we upload new content. Until next time, good night, my sweet baby angels. I'll see you in the future.